So for me right now, I am in my third year of this architecture science program at Ryerson. It's also called Toronto Metropolitan University, or could be also called the Palestinian Protester Battlegrounds. For me, right now, okay, what we're doing, we're for this project. It's only a couple days away. Right now, it's the 30th of November, and it's due. Final presentations are on the 5th of December. So we got about 4 days to get this done. And what we're trying to do for this project is take our existing architecture building and transform it. Now, over here I got some of the basic plans. Most of these ones are from what was already there. But it's really quite the mess right now. Lots of crap going on. Really quite the mess. So I got the plans going, and I got some other stuff over here. I got some perspectives I just took from put my model into Revit so that I can take the drawings from Revit. Now you may say, oh well, in Rhino you can just make 2D. Why would you put your model from Rhino into Revit? What's the point? Well, when you take your drawings from Rhino, at least in my experience with this Make 2D command, it turns out like shit, and it shows a bunch of lines in the background, and who the hell knows what's going on. So we got we got basically the kind of skeleton of the drawings right now is what I like to put it, and I haven't separated them into the proper layers yet, which I gotta still do that. I'll probably talk a bit about my project later, but the main thing I gotta do is just focus on these plans and elevations so that I can bring it all together to make my physical model. So you may think like, okay, you need to create the sort of pieces, right? So maybe you could use maybe the laser cutter or the CNC, or make a file for 3D printing or something. But for me, I actually have a different strategy. My strategy, I'm actually the only person that really does it this way in my entire program. Basically what I do is I print it, like I go to this print shop, I get it printed on this white kind of cardboard, museum board kind of material they have. And then I just use that. And then, you can make these kind of nice models with you can put for example, like textures, like material textures very subtly in Photoshop and stuff. And, you can add maybe some color, but you can't forget to add the grain. Yeah, you have to add always a grain filter with the color, because that's what all the master's students do to make their stuff look sophisticated. I saw the master's students present their final thesis stuff over the summer, and that's what they all did. So, I'll show all this stuff later. I have to get all this shit done by hopefully Monday, so that I could do the printing for Monday. And it's right now Saturday, so I got the rest of today and tomorrow to fucking do all this fucking shit. It's really a massive amount of shit I gotta still do. Now you may think, oh well, Matt, how are you gonna find the motivation to get all this shit done? Well, one strategy is to imagine somebody else in the program working harder than you and having a better project than you. For me, I don't have to imagine anything, because I'm a paranoid fucking schizophrenic, diagnosed last year. I think there's like there's my friend Kyle right behind me. This guy's been working all day, hasn't stopped. So I really gotta get my shit together. And so I'll do my plan for this this video is to just do like show little bits of my progress along the way, just to document the final moments, the final 5 days until the end of the studio for this fall semester, third year. And so that's what I'm gonna do. And when I have another update, I will report back. One thing I am thinking about doing is putting together my panel about these different wall segments I have arrayed. The plan is that these prefabricated wall segments will be arrayed in this to create the curve, and hopefully it'll be easy for constructability. They're also supposed to be structural, so that I don't need columns along the perimeter. It can just all look very light, you know. So that's the idea. And I have actually a bunch of calculations I did like about 3 weeks ago, showing that these very thin metal. It's about my plan is for it to be about 1.4 millimeters thick, just because like that sort of seems to be like the standard size, and it needs to be very thin in order for the metal to be folded, which is the kind of plan for this. And so I did the math to figure out how much each one of these things, one of these wall segments, how much load it can support. And turns out it can support enough. It can support about 275 kilonewtons was what I calculated there for the buckling. In this case, was the limiting factor, was the buckling. And so I just thought it would be very funny to have. Are these notifications coming up? Oh, if I can get the fuck out of here. The plan, the hope, is, the sort of vision is that I think it would be very funny to have just a bunch of like calculations on my architecture presentation board. And you know, I learned how to do this somewhere else, probably a story for another day. But nobody else in my program knows how to do any math, which is pretty hilarious considering the amount of Asians in the program. You know, I'll put together this panel and then we'll report back. Okay, so it's currently 4 in the fucking morning, December 3rd. I've just been working on these plans all day. I still got this one left to do, but the rest are pretty much done. This little mechanical layer is separating these kind of two volumes. You know, we got over here, you know, we got like the sort of more like the kind of original sort of volume, and then up top we got our curved sort of volume, the new edition. But in the middle, there's this mechanical thing. It's sort of like the separation, and I need to figure out, you know, what's going on, how to get, you know, from the bottom to the top, how these two volumes communicate with each other vertically. I didn't really anticipate that I would need to do a plan for this, but turns out we gotta do it, and took a lot of time today. Your boy, an hour ago, my nose just decided to fucking bleed. The freaking toilet looks like some fucking chick got a massive fucking period. I've been up since freaking 8 o'clock today. It's fucking 4. I gotta go to bed, set an alarm for 9, wake up at 9, get a nice solid 3 fucking hours, finish these fucking plans. We gotta get started on our elevations. We gotta put together our file that's gonna be printed, you know, so I can make the model. Gotta do that tomorrow. And yeah, so one kind of tip, one sort of architecture sort of tip I can give you that kind of relates to this sort of plan here is kind of about this sort of hatch and how to use the hatch. Now, the idea, what's going on here is that there is supposed to be like some sort of visual sort of continuity sort of that goes through this sort of space here. You know, so this thing over here is supposed to be glass. It's on a slant, you know. So right now, the way these sort of horizontal mullions, whatever they're supposed to be called, I haven't drawn them yet, but they're gonna end up coming, you know, across, you know, like this. You know, and so it'll look, at least in plan, like it's like there's a sort of grid to it. You know, so it'll look kind of something like this in plan. But really they're gonna be like, in elevation, you'll be able to see that they're actually pretty long kind of panes of glass there. But as you can see, it's gonna look like there's this kind of grid going on in plan. And over here, this kind of hatch, this floor hatch I've got, is also in a grid. So when you're kind of using this kind of hatch like this, it's important to think about, you know, how it all like kind of communicates through, and there's this kind of continuity sort of going all the way through like this from here to here. Kind of sweeps right through this kind of sort of continuity sort of thing. I don't really know how else to say it. The other thing I've been working on. Why the fuck is it so fucking laggy, man? Fucking Christ. This is really giving me the motivation to switch back to AutoCAD. I gotta try AutoCAD again. I gotta re-download that shit. Because this fucking Rhino, once the files get too big, like shit's fucked. But anyways, the other thing that I've been working on earlier today is this kind of detail here of how the wall sort of works. I'm thinking of having these kind of panels. These are kind of sort of just like the sort of SIP panels. Get the insulation, get the sheathing, the wood sheathing. You know, just nice and simple. Sits on the slab, maybe, I'm thinking. And then for this kind of column detail, I'm honestly, I'm not really too on board, but for now it's gonna have to do for now. But the problem is it's just very heavy-handed, I feel like. Like this column is half a meter wide, so these are probably like, you know, 600 millimeters, you know, which is probably about 2 feet or so. So it's very, very wide and very heavy-handed. And I have a feeling it's not going to look too good in elevation. So we're probably going to end up having to change this. This project continues for me next semester too. So, you know, right now this is going to have to do, but this will probably be the first thing I end up changing. Probably what it will end up looking like is I'll take this kind of panel. These are supposed to be like metal panels. This blue line here, supposed to be some cast kind of steel sort of panel. Make it look like stone. But what I'll probably end up having to do is just bring it out, you know, something like this, and then we'll have it sort of connect somehow here. Either way, still got one more plan to do, and we'll check up. We'll do another checkup tomorrow. Okay, so it's now 10:30, December 4th. I've been up since 9 o'clock yesterday, and You know, we've been working on our elevations. We finally fucking got this thing done. This file here right in front of us. You know that we're going to be sending off to the printers. Get this printed. They told me 30-point cardstock. Now we're doing, now they say they got 48-point. Who gives a fuck? See how it turns out. Hopefully it's fucking good. Then this here is supposed to be 4 feet by 6 feet. That's just what, you know, the dimensions they said it comes at, and then they don't have to cut anything, you know, and it ends up fitting perfectly. So there you go. Simultaneously, as I've been working on this, we got the elevations, and so we got the elevations, you know, looking pretty good. As I've said, you know, these columns, they're looking pretty shit in elevation, but you know, I'm sure in you know, in real life it would look okay, but in elevation not looking too good. So the reviewers may not like that one. You know, but anyways, so this is like a kind of hole, you know, that's cutting through. You know, going through there, we got some nice plants. I just already had this. Already had these plants. You know, look pretty good. You just take, you know, a black and white, you know, CAD drawing of these plants. In this case, I converted it to a DXF. You know, you just look up PNG to DXF, you know, in Google or whatever. Or you could use Illustrator, the outline thing, slightly different. You know, you can try those things out, whatever. So right now I'm just gonna try and get another 3 hours of fucking sleep. 3 hours every day. That's keep the doctor away. That's how it goes. I'm actually feeling not too bad. You know, usually, you know, I feel sick and shit, you know, not sleeping like this, but you know, I actually kind of feel okay. And so we're going to try and get another fucking 3 hours and finish up the plans. Still got to do the sections. Haven't even started the sections. Got to do the sections. And put the finishing touches on the plans, and then bring everything together in InDesign. So this will probably be the last update I give until after the presentation. You know, so wish me luck. And we'll do a nice little story time at the end. So it is now the winter break. We've done the presentation, so I'm just going to do a little story time about how it all went down. I had 4 reviewers. 1 was my professor, so 3 guest reviewers. So this is my site plan here. Outlined in red is where the building is. And my main point about this drawing was just about like noticing that in this particular sort of block where the architecture building is, there's this particular deliberate emphasis on the landscape and landscaping. Taking that into account in my design, I think is important. And so I collaged in some of the original landscape drawings along with some of my own sketches. And so that's what that's about. Then, you know, you got the color just to fucking like draw the eyes in, but it's just fucking bullshit, you know. Sometimes you just gotta like fucking make it look a little fucking, just gotta be as fucking ballsy as possible. Just do a bunch of fucking random shit, man. That's just how it goes. So that's what this color is doing. Just trying to, yes, draw kind of the eye into what's going on here. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, who gives a fuck? You know, just fucking do whatever the fuck you want. So, okay, here are the elevations. Looking pretty nifty. One important piece of feedback that I got with elevations So this one girl reviewer worked for some firm who gives a fuck. She was just kind of waffling on and on and on about some fucking nonsense. At the time at the presentation, I was too tired to really even like care, like pay attention to her waffle there. And but then she actually said something very interesting. She said that it appeared to her that the sort of bottom volume of the existing architecture building looked less important in the elevation. And that's really something I just didn't consider. And figured it's actually pretty useful information. Good to know that. Definitely, when I make my portfolio over this break, I'm gonna pretty drastically change this elevation. So here we got the plans. Got the first two plans down here. Really the big kind of thing I talked about was the plan on the right there, about making this atrium, upper atrium they call it, turning it into more of an auditorium. Because what happens is they usually have these guest speakers come in sometimes, and then they'll do their little talk in this kind of space where it's stepped down. And it's a bit too small for that now. And you know, as the school gets bigger, I think turning this into this atrium into more of an auditorium, I think that's a good move. Just having loose seating in there. I collaged in a sketch, just kind of whipped it up at the last minute there, last fucking seconds. Just fucking, you know, again, it's just like fuck it, just fucking do some stupid shit, man. Who gives a fuck? Just fucking add it in. And then, you know, we got the gallery in behind, and I think it creates this nice sort of thing going on. And okay, so moving up, my main thing with these plans was noticing that the studios were already arranged in this kind of U shape. I figured that it would be important to open up the center to give some kind of community sort of workspace where like everybody can kind of like see in what's going on, come in, maybe fucking do some fucking work, you know, maybe after class, whatever. Everybody can just kind of hang out there. Maybe some other years can kind of see, you know, what's going on and come in, and you know, maybe there could be some sort of cross-pollination between the different years, you know. So I thought that was a pretty good move. Previously, there were these fourth-year studios, like just kind of like in one sort of corner, just all throughout first year, second year, third year studio. But since the school is expanding, I felt like it was probably baked into the plan to kind of give these fourth years their own studio, and then give more space for the other years to grow. Yeah, and then moving up at the left, we got this chart here. Again, you just gotta make it look as sophisticated as possible. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, these numbers, like, they're not even right, but they're not gonna fucking check. You know what I mean? I just fucking guessed, you know, the areas, whatever. Just fucking threw them in this chart. It's probably not even right. Probably not even 20% right. Or it's probably like a 20% kind of margin of error there. Like, you know, you just gotta make a chart and then fucking who gives a fuck. Then below here we got GFA, gross floor area, and we got the FSI. You know, the FSI is just you take the gross surface area, you divide it by the total site area, the area of the site. So you add up all the floors, right? Divide it by the site, and you get the FSI. Who gives a fuck? Just add it in. Oh, he's got the FSI on there. That's fucking interesting. Fucking who gives a fuck? Then below that we got the embodied carbon of the existing building. That is actually important though to have that for this project, because for this project, a lot of people are just fucking like getting rid of the entire building. This building is supposed to be very historically important, as it was designed by an architect. It was very, very big in Canada. And so it's very historically important. It's got all this embodied carbon with all this concrete. You know, you got to be really kind of careful about getting rid of like too much, because it just doesn't really make any sense to do that. Now, for the vast majority of people in my program, of course, they don't have virtually any critical thinking skills. And so a lot of them didn't seem to care about this embodied carbon situation. Get rid of the whole thing. And I think that's a pretty tricky move, because then it kind of makes your design a little bit more arbitrary. You know, because like, okay, you get rid of it, and then you can pretty much go wherever you want from there. But like, kind of keeping the structure and the shell and the floor plates of the existing building really anchors, I think, you know, your sort of concepts and sort of thinking. Basically just make a change to the existing building just as long as it relates to your concept. I think that's really the way to go. So I think this plan with the mechanical stuff works out nice. Then moving up to the new volume. Now the reviewers kind of had an issue with this sort of diamond, right? This kind of diamond space. Not kind of communicating well there, kind of contradiction. In architecture, that contradiction doesn't always necessarily need to be negative. It can be good if you pull it off. Right now, it's not particularly working. We got these dead-end kind of corridors here. My vision was for this to be a very nice kind of presentation space, but unfortunately it's just not really allowed. You only have one entry and exit, so unfortunately we're gonna have to make it so you can pass through here, which should be fun. And ultimately, I think this square, because at the end of the day, like, yeah, sure, it's drawn in the orientation of these like 45-degree angles, but at the end of the day, it's just a square. So who gives a fuck like which angle it's drawn at the end of the day? And so I think I can get this to work. So okay, here we got these kind of fancy drawings up in the corner. Make it look all nice and fancy, make it look pretty sophisticated and impressive with these kind of exploded wall views we got. We're looking at how these two kind of curved sort of floors, how they fucking work. I'm really going in at the details now. We got these wall segments that I talked about. Got them folded. I'm showing how they're supposed to be folded. I'm looking at how there's two pieces, showing the details, talking about the shadows they make. And then of course we got our math. We got the math. We put the math on the architecture presentation board. Never been done before. As I kind of gestured to it, one of the reviewers gave an audible laugh, which was exactly what I was looking for. So I was very pleased to hear that. Pretty much everything we learned in this program, except for the buckling. Little moment of inertia. Yeah, right. We learned that in this program. Fuck. Fucking kidding. The only thing we learn about in this program is the fucking Alice in Wonderland. So okay, we got the math, we got the last floor. Who gives a fuck? One of the other kind of things they said, the reviewers said, was that this library. Yeah, they said the library actually kind of works, but the main thing about this kind of curved sort of floors here, both of them, is you need to have like a clear intention. You need to really like make a clear decision and have it backed by your plans here. You need to have a clear decision about what goes in these floors. So right now I've got masters of architecture people going up there. I got the PhD people. I got the building science people up there. But why? And I haven't really been able to come up with formulate a clear answer for that question yet. But at the end of the day, who gives a fuck? Again, it just goes back to this theme, this overarching theme of who gives a fuck what goes up there. At the end of the day, you gotta put something up there. So they're saying, who knows? I think it is right what I have up there versus what I don't, but I just don't know how to really say it yet. So I gotta think about that one. Got the sections. A little bit of a cop-out section with this cutting through this gallery. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Made these sections at the last second, just as always, And at the end of the day, I just fucking threw a bunch of fucking bullshit in there last second. Really made these drawings at the last second, and then you add in the shadow wherever you can, 45-degree angle. That's it, And then we just took pictures of our fucking model and fucking threw it in there. I ended up working on this after it was due. It was due at 11 o'clock. I ended up working on it overnight. And so here's the model right here. As you can see, it's very big. Okay. Got the this is the engineering. We got the engineering building right here. So as you can see, kind of inside here, we got that gallery thing that I'm adding in between the spaces. Okay. And so the idea was to make this model big so that I can model this, but I ended up not being able to do it. Now I could have maybe done it if I printed these on paper and just folded the paper, but unfortunately this material is too thick. So I'll have to think about that one for next time. And this kind of glass here on the slant, I think it actually works kind of nice. It kind of separates these two sort of stone-like volumes with this kind of delicate glass thing in between. I think that's kind of nice. Kind of same idea here with this gallery. So I'll put this thing down. Pretty fucking big and heavy. And kind of the other reason why I made it big too, really kind of the main reason, if I'm going to be honest, why I made it so big, it's more ballsy. It's more fucking intimidating, more ballsy, more fucking arrogant. More up my own ass. Like, oh, this guy thinks his fucking thing is so fucking sick. He made a fucking massive fucking model. Because this is 1 to 100. Most other people it was 1 to 200, so half the size. So that's really why, you gotta make it big. The bigger the better. And the reviewers said in the presentation, oh, your part T is very clear in the model too. What the fuck are you talking about? My model, it's unfinished. It's nowhere near as good as I originally envisioned it to be. In the part T, I don't know, it kind of seems like if your project is convincing enough, then this part T will be clear. It's pretty stupid. It's all about making your project convincing and then everything else falls into place, apparently. Sometimes. The part T, if you don't know, it's just it's just supposed to be like a single drawing or model but just a single kind of drawing that just solely has your main concept in it. It could be a bunch of scribbly lines. You know, that's usually what they look like. From my understanding, it can include other sort of things for context, but others will disagree. It's just only supposed to be the thing. It's like if somebody asks you, oh, what's your project about? Well, it's about this one thing. I usually kind of find it very difficult to show the partie, draw the partie, whatever, in a way where somebody coming in, looking at my project for the first time, can actually understand what I'm trying to talk about. Turns out all you gotta do is just make the rest of your project as convincing as possible, and then you can put whatever you want as your partie. As is a common theme in architecture, they use these esoteric words, partie, words that nobody else knows except for them. And they just do that because all these designers, architects, they're all up their own ass. They never had a real job in their life. You know, they're all fucking, they think they're the smartest people in the world. They all think, oh, fuck, look at me, let me jerk myself off here. Come up with these massive fucking complicated fucking French words. Who gives a fuck? You know, another word they like to say is pedagogy. So everybody's talking about, oh, my pedagogy, this works like this and this. Who gives a fuck? Pedagogy comes from Hindu. Great, fuck, excellent. Hindu. Let's fucking take one of those words. Take that into our little vocabulary there. Our architecture vernacular. Except vernacular, actually, they adopt that to mean something a little bit different. Vernacular means like different types of buildings. So like a house, like a mid-century house, you know. That's a vernacular of architecture. Pedagogy means the sequence or the way things are taught. One other compliment, one very good compliment I got during the review is one of the reviewers said that I have good critical thinking. Never heard anybody else get that compliment, so that was pretty fucking cool. Another compliment I got was they asked me if I drew the elevations for the building beside there, the engineering building. You know, of course I did. I did do those drawings. Took about 5 hours or so. I've gotten much faster at it at this time, but I did do the drawings. And guy said it looked very well done. So that was pretty fucking sick. Got some very good compliments for this review. Even though I was so fucking tired. I was literally like, during the review, I was dozing off, nodding off. The last 3 days, I just got 3 hours of sleep each night. And then the final night, did an all-nighter to just put this model together so that I had a model, you know, to show. So I was really, really tired, nodding off, but I got communicated my main ideas, and so that's what's important. I wouldn't recommend doing that if you care about the presentation. For me personally, gotta be honest, I don't really care about the presentation too much. Because, like, at the end of the day, it's, you know, what matters is, you know, what you can take here to put into your portfolio. You know, because the portfolio you need to get into the master's program, to get a job. And so that's how it goes.